Today's a real interesting one, and I see I have 23 minutes because I didn't delete. Thanks. So let's just get right into it. No one is a victim until you decide that you are. This is very tricky, okay? Let's watch wording. Let's watch the trickery used. Black Lives Matter. Yes, of course they do. Now, how do you hear it referred to? Black Lives Matter movement. Now, if you look deep into the seeding of what, or development of the Black Lives Matter movement, you will see the trickery. Okay? Now, let's look deeper. So I live in Hawaii. It's such a great example for me because my emotional development, my spiritual development, and my scientific development has evolved here on the island of Hawaii in particular. Not just Hawaii, but the island of Hawaii. So I came here just like the typical haole, thinking that I was going to develop myself in such a way that I would become wealthy in the way that we understand wealth through the trickery, this kind. Was I sadly mistaken? I was convincing myself, making myself feel better about making the decision to come here because I really didn't want to. That was the biggest thing. Like I felt I had to come here. I was obligated, and I don't want to get into why. I just did. And I hit a deep depression. All the things. And then the pulse began. And the development, it blows my mind to this day. Okay, so let's get into it. The Kingdom of Hawaii. I often hear criticism or like, why are you involved in that? You're white. You're missing the fucking point then. If that's what you are focused on, my friend, you're missing the entire point. The kingdom is not a movement. This land was experiencing some strange form of occupation, people calling it something that it's not. And then because it trended, well, it started to develop those traits. But this is not part of America. This is not part of the United States, especially the corporation that was formed called the United States of America. And if you're not aware of the things that I speak of, look them up. But we're going to get into the spirit aspect of all this. Now, this is both, it's all the things, okay? It's science, it's spirit, it's story, it's, all the... Listen, if you haven't learned about the Marquesan Islands, the Polynesian Islands, if you haven't learned about the development of the human outside of this idea of science, right? But not void of science, because science is part of it. So what I am doing is sharing my evolution. Once you make discoveries, self-discoveries, and begin to evolve into the human that you imagine, feels good. It is your kuleana to share this culture. I am developing my culture. It doesn't have anything to do with anybody else, while simultaneously part of everyone else. So especially if I come to a place where people that look like me have done something in the past to break up development, to break up culture, to use its influence to disrupt an already harmonious place, or while in a state of confusion, even worse, use that confusion to manipulate the culture, bruh, that's not fucking cool. But the secret is the trickery, noticing the trickery. The kingdom has never gone anywhere. It's always been here. It's not a fucking movement, never has been and never will be. Because the kingdom is alive here. Now, when you develop your evolution and self-worth, if you find your self-worth has something to do with money, power, looks, it's okay. Because you know what? It is part of our social engineering and evolution. So I'm not going to take that from you. If you're a fine-ass motherfucker and you shake your fat ass for everyone and we all enjoy it, well, don't deny it. I'm not going to take that from you. But if that is your only self-worth, my friends, this is the example that I'm talking about. If the financial aspect is your only self-worth, then of course people are going to come after you for that. A farmer, for example, I'm not saying you gotta be a farmer. I'm just using it as an example because it is a duty of a farmer. It's the kuleana of the farmer to share the fucking food that they grow. Why? Because people need to fucking eat. It's a basic right and duty and privilege and honor to put my love and my development and everything I do into the food and then give it to you. And if you can't pay for it, it is still my duty to feed you because I have the privilege of growing the food. Do you get what I'm saying? So when your self-worth is maximized, you will see more development of the self. You will see more development of your personal awareness into such a degree that those other things become your reflection too. And I don't know how to explain that. I just don't. But here's the trigger, right? Here's the trigger. Black Lives Matter movement. It's not a movement. Please, raise your awareness and don't select yourself as a victim because that's the trickery being used. If you approach something from a place of victimhood, you feel like you need to rise up to some sort of degree with the drama that was triggered to fight for something in a way that you lose the self. Spirit's got your back, my friends. I'm not going to say God. I'm not going to say none of all that stuff. But you can always count on Spirit to have your back. You do not need to blow up a building, kill anyone, or hurt anyone. I know you may want to. I know you may want to. But Spirit has your back. You don't have to call it karma either, because that still takes belief. That still is taking you away from self to judge and cast some unpredictable power or lack thereof onto another human. My friends, careful, careful. The pain and suffering is only coming from right here. We've already proved scientifically what's going on with the frontal lobe. We already know how we're developing the pain. It's all part of the illusion. But because we've gotten so deep into the illusion, we're not really sure where it ends and begins. So we get to, it is our honor, our duty to start with number one. And then when you get that, when you get it, when you develop your culture, it is your duty then to contribute it. So, okay. So I want to talk about coping with that pain, right? Coping with the pain. By the way, I have all the compassion in the world, and you are totally justified by using any means necessary to get the peace and happiness within. Trust me, I get it. The fucking oppression is real. So if you get fucking violent, if you get angry and you do some dumb shit, and you put your family in jeopardy or yourself in jeopardy, I understand and I have all the compassion for you. If you are coming from a place of reaction and get like that, I got your back too. I know. I feel it. I feel it. So it's totally justified to me. I just want you to know, though, that I know Black lives have always mattered. So we don't have to call it a movement, because we don't have to move from one place to the next. It's an already knowing inside me. And it could be an already knowing inside all people that look like me and don't look like me. But all people, all humans, citizens of the world. Okay? So the kingdom is just the example that I use. The kingdom of Hawaii has always been here. It's obviously illegally occupied. You don't have to even do much research to find this out. But because enough of you call it the state, they even put it on the license plates that people drive around, which is another whole set of trickery. You do not have to register your fucking cars. You don't. But because enough people say things like, oh, well, everybody else does it, so you got to. I do it. I spent the money on it. That's not what it's about. Just because you're falling for the banana in the tailpipe bullshit doesn't mean everybody else has to. Just because you're doing something doesn't make it right. It doesn't mean it's the necessary thing. See, that's what's going on. Is that Howley thinks, oh, everything's got to be done like this. This is the way it gets done. Here, culture, do it like this. Didn't we learn with religion? You know? Haven't we learned over and over again? Haven't we learned? Anyway. The kingdom, the power, and the glory are all yours now and forever, my friends. And the way that I mean that is the kingdom is alive inside you. It's why you call this the crown. Because only you can put your crown on. I live in the kingdom. The kingdom of Hawaii. It's always been the kingdom of Hawaii. Always will be. And you cannot take that away. It's not possible. It's not fucking possible. Do you see? Do you see now? No form of manipulation, no trickery, no rage, violence, war. No manipulation, no racism, no appropriation of any kind will stop that. Black lives have always mattered. Black lives are number one, my friend. Number one. It all came from there. Melanin, of course, had to begin. Everything birthed into the human form with melanin. The queen. The queen, of course, is brown and has melanin. Of course, the queen has substance, beauty, magnificent beauty, just like you cannot even comprehend. So you bow to the queen because she is perfect. So, if you're a hater and doing what you can to try to control and manipulate human beings to take away their peace, joy, freedoms, get them to chase some dollar, get them to chase some kind of power, get them to forget that they already had all the power, I'm not falling for that shit. And I don't have guilt and shame residing inside me because I did nothing. But actually, that's the thing. What are you doing to help? And not help from a place of like lack, to help the awareness of all the world, right? When you find your inner peace, are you sharing it? When you find your inner standing, when you find the love vibration, right? When you find the ability to put on your crown and wear and be the king or queen that you are, do you share that development and love with all around you? Do you help show what it is to be the king? And not some false representation of queen that or king that hands down some kind of unjust bullshit. No, I'm talking about the queen that developed a hospital for free. She went out and gathered all the funds so that she can build a hospital to serve all Kanakam. Do you know what that takes? Yeah, that is how you are a leader. The queen provided health care for all of Hawaii for no kala. You were born into the right, she said. And that will live forever, and you're not going to take that away. I promise you that. So that's how I feel about food. That's how I feel about honey. I work with bees, and if you don't have the money, I'm happy to still serve you. That's my privilege as the king. I mean, I may just be the king of my world, but I love my world. It's big. It's big. It's huge. It's beautiful. Okay, so here's the other thing. When we make ourselves a victim, the other thing is yes, people do fucked up things. And then, of course, we wouldn't know what victim was if we didn't see it, if it didn't happen. In some shape or form, we've all been a victim. But through our development, we understand and regain our power. And there's nothing that can hold you back, okay? When we cope with the pain, now we're talking more science. You know, when we repeatedly take things away from ourselves and cope with the pain with substances, especially alcohol, we take away our culture. The alcohol burns our culture in our belly, literally. It takes it away from the human body. Spirit, the connection of here and here, the gut and here, is helping you cultivate awareness of spirit that resides in all of us, in culture that it resides in all of us. So you look at, for example, the cow. The cow is sacred. So people say, oh, cheese is addicting. You don't eat it. Do you understand what's happening? It's the same thing in human. When you lay next to a mother breastfeeding a child, the oxytocin and serotonin, the levels of dopamine that are going nuts there, that are, the child is literally drunk off of that love. Not just the actual milk. I mean, literally getting high off of that sharing. You, as a family member or whatever, are laying near and next to. You will actually feel it in your brain too. You don't actually have to have that milk. Now, same thing in a cow. The milker, the milkmaid, is actually getting those chemicals. Now, that's wealth. Now look at the bee's gut. The honeybee detoxifies everything going on out there in the physical world with their gut. The honey is not complete until it's passed through at least 4 other bees. It's regurgitated. Some people say don't eat honey. It's not vegan. But eat the honey. Some people say don't drink the milk, or do you understand that a cow has multiple guts, multiple bellies? And do you understand what's happening? The fermentation process? Do you understand what it's doing with all the good sugars? Do you understand the magnitude? If you're choosing to eat food, careful what you're falling for. Careful. All the manipulation tactics used out there to pause, stop, or slow your development have been used. Please don't fall for the banana tailpipe, my friends. You can eat whatever you want to, especially when you cultivate the connection with the farmer or grow the food yourself. When you navigate the world with the honor and the privilege that it is to share culture, watch what happens. You will honor all cultures. You will find a new level of compassion for people that have been victimized and hurt and taken advantage of. You'll find such a new level that you love them to the point of full-on acceptance of wherever anyone's at in their healing process. We're all healing. It's the only thing that's happening. We're healing. We're here to heal. We can do it together or alone, and all the above. I prefer to grow together. You grow further when you grow together. You can grow alone. That's fine. I personally want to grow together. I don't need to be included. I already have everything. However, if you want to include me, I feel honored and privileged. I just want you to know that. My development is infinitely yours. My connection is infinitely yours. You inspired it. I bow to you, King and Queen, and I love you forever.